Hey guys, happy Friday. I hope everybody's doing okay. Let's just go ahead and jump in with what we're going to do today. Today, we are going to be, as you can see here at the bottom, we're going to be finishing up our comparing and contrasting, and we're going to be doing that with a writing prompt. So, our essential question, if you remember, is how can I use key details or important information to compare and contrast two texts on a topic? Today, what we're going to do is we're going to listen to a vocabulary video on comparing and contrasting. We're going to quickly review some comparing and contrasting vocabulary on vocab. We're going to be reading two passages on penguins, which happens to be my favorite animal. I'm going to model to you how I'm going to turn what I write on a Venn diagram into a paragraph to help you compare and contrast. And then you're going to be doing that with dolphins and sharks today. So let's watch this FlowCab video. I'm going to move myself off screen so that we can see the entire thing.
Vocabulary. We're comparing and contrasting. Everybody's doing it. In fact, we do it all the time. We compare and contrast when we're in the store deciding what cereal to buy. We compare and contrast when we pick up what movie to see or what player we want for our fantasy football league. I'll break it down for you. Yeah, comparing and contrasting. Get with it. That's when you think how things are similar and different. When I compare things, I talk about how they're the same. When I contrast, it's the differences that I name. I analyze how they're similar and different. I look at them close. Yeah, I get specific. I compare and contrast two books, three foods, two unicorn dudes named Hofi and Sue. Yeah, that's how we do. But what's even wiser, before I write, I'ma use a graphic organizer, a Venn diagram. Yeah, I'll show you that. I just draw two circles that overlap. In the middle, I write whatever's the same. Just list the differences in the other spaces. With three things to compare, what should I do then? I could add a third circle, so then let's get it in. I compare when I say how things are similar, like dollhouses and ponies, both miniature. I contrast when I say how things are different. Give examples and get specific. You get it? I compare when I say how things are similar or the same. Yeah, I bet that sounds so familiar. I contrast when I say how things are different. Give examples and get specific. You get it? Okay, I have to write an essay. Here's the prompt. Would you rather be a wolf or a domesticated dog? Domesticated dog is like a pet. I'ma compare and contrast. That'll help me pick. I use transition words to help my readers know that I'm comparing and contrasting. Here we go. First, I'll compare how they're the same. Both have fur coats for the wind, snow, and rain. Domesticated dogs love to play together. Similarly, wolf puppies will play in any weather. Pet dogs have paws. Wolves do as well. Likewise, they both will eat meat. Can you tell? To see how they're different, let's contrast. Most wolves have longer teeth, and that's a fact. If a wolf gets sick, there's no medicine. In contrast, pests go to the vet. They let them in. Domesticated dogs don't worry about food. They get fed in the bowl. I bet they love it too. Unlike a wolf, which has to hunt, and if it can't find much food, they go hungry for months. A wolf can run free, do anything it pleases, while domesticated doggies are tied up with leashes. So while I might like to be a pet dog for a while, I want to be free. That's the call of the wild. I'm a wolf. Compare when I say how things are similar, like dollhouses and ponies, both miniature. I contrast when I say how things are different. Give examples and get specific. You get it? I compare when I say how things are similar or the same. Yeah, I bet that sounds so familiar. I contrast when I say how things are different. Give examples and get specific. You get it?
You get it? All right, so let's go over some vocabulary. So to compare, it means to explain how something is similar to something else. Jane was asked to compare the twin girls, so she began explaining all the things they had in common. When we contrast, we're explaining how something is different from something else. Her art teacher told her to contrast two photographs, which made her realize how different the animals looked in each image. So they contrasted this dog to this cat. How do they look different? Different is how something is not the same, how it's unlike. Her eyes are two different colors in this picture. One is brown, one is green. Different is kind of an opposite, but it's just how they are unlike. Similar is how something is the same as something else. So the horses look similar. They have the same white markings on their forehead. They have that mark there and that mark there. And they're both brown. Specific means exact or particular. My sister pointed to a specific spot on a map and asked me to meet her on the exact corner later that day. So when we're writing, we need to be super specific with what details we're picking from our text. Transition words, we have similarly and similarly. You guys are gonna laugh. Similarly, yes, I said it right. That is telling how they are similar. Meanwhile, however, furthermore, those are words that are telling how something is a little different. And then our last one was our graphic organizer Venn diagram. So what I want you to do before we start writing today and before we start reading today, I want you to go ahead and grab a sheet of paper and I want you to draw a Venn diagram. I'm going to switch my camera to the Venn diagram because while I'm reading, I am going to be adding things to this Venn diagram. All right. So today I'm going to be covering up this picture here. Today we are going to be reading two passages. One is about the cold climate penguins, while the other is about warm climate penguins. Let me make this Venn diagram just a little bigger so that we can see it. Awesome. So while we're reading, remember, while you're reading, there are these annotating tools off to the side here. But for the video's sake, I'm going to be using this Venn diagram. And remember, a Venn diagram is a graphic organizer that we use to compare and contrast two things. We use it to tell how they're similar and how they are different. So the first thing I need to do is I need to go through and I need to read both of these passages. So, cold climate penguins. Penguins are found in both warm and cold climates around the world, but more of them are found in cold climates. So we can already tell more penguins are found in cold climates. All right. Oh, I need to write with a smaller marker. All right, almost all penguins in the world are found in the southern hemisphere, and many of those are located around Antarctica. The penguins have a lot of physical features that help them survive in harsh weather in Antarctica. So right now we're talking about just the cold penguins. While most birds have wings, penguins have flippers for swimming. Now these are every single penguin. They all have flippers for swinging. Or swimming. And while we're talking about penguins, if you are watching this video, today's code word for your last slide in your assignment is penguins. All right. So they cannot fly. They cannot fly, but they do go in the ocean to find food and play. So the flippers are more useful for them. Bodies lose heat quicker in water than when out of water. Due to this, penguins have a very thick layer of feathers that help keep them warm in the cold water because their feathers are waterproof. So this is going to be for the cold penguins. They have thick feathers to keep them warm in cold water. All right, the emperor penguin is the largest and tallest penguin in the world and is only found in Antarctica. When a female emperor penguin lays an egg, the male incubates it by sitting on it for 2 months while the mother goes off to find food and eat during that time. During the winter months, when the weather is the coldest, penguins huddle together for warmth. Huddle for warmth. This means that there are huge gatherings of penguins all standing against each other. The penguins take turns rotating through the huddle. The outside of the huddle is where is the coldest area. This way they all get equal time in the warm center. So they take turns so they can be warm. All right, let's read about warm climate penguins. Gotta switch this a little bit. Awesome. So most penguins do live in the cold environment. However, there are some penguins that live and thrive in warmer climates. The Galapagos penguin is the only penguin that lives north of the equator. So we can put Galapagos penguin is the only that lives north of the equator. All right, so the Galapagos penguins can live amongst the Galapagos Islands because some of the water currents there are colder. They go into the water when the temperature gets hot to help cool off. So the cold climate penguins huddle together to keep warm, but the warm climate penguins get in the water to cool off. All right. They also bend over forward to keep their feet in the shadow and out of the sun's hot rays. So they bend forward to keep their feet cool. All right. Adults make sure young penguins and newly born chicks are kept in rock crevices and out of the sun. Penguins that live in warmer weathers tend to be smaller penguins. Ooh, they're smaller. The little penguin is the smallest penguin species. It can be found along the coast of Australia and New Zealand. So this one was Antarctica. This one is New Zealand. And Australia. Oh, we have so many good things. All right. These penguins are known as blue penguins. This is because their young chicks are a unique shade of blue. Due to their size, cats and dogs are a threat to their survival. The African penguin is found off of the southwestern coast of Africa. These penguins spend almost the entire day in water and only return to land in the evening. They have a special part of their body above their eyes where blood is sent. This helps them cool off if they are getting too hot. This keeps them from overheating. So these penguins can overheat. All right. So if I look at my Venn diagram, I have a bunch of things that make them the same and a bunch of things that make them different. So now I'm going to write a paragraph using some of the things in my Venn diagram. So remember, while you're writing today, you want to use your Venn diagram. You want to use your Venn diagram to find the similarities and the differences and to help you write. So what I'm going to start with is I have to start with an introduction sentence. And what that means is it's going to just introduce the reader to whatever I'm talking about. So I'm going to be talking about cold and warm climate penguins and how they are alike and different and alike in many ways. So I'm going to start. Cold and warm climate penguins are alike and different in many ways. So now I have introduced my reader, which is going to be your teacher, to what I'm going to be talking about. Now what I need to do is I need to start giving more specific details on how these animals are alike and how they are different. So I'm going to start with how they are alike. So I have two things in my both column that tell me how these penguins are alike. So both penguins have flippers that make them great swimmers. These flippers are not wings because the penguin cannot fly. It is a flightless bird. All right, so now I've told how they are the same. And now I can start telling how they are different. I'm going to start with the warm penguin because this is the one that I have the most things for. So the warm climate penguin can be found in New Zealand and Australia. They spend most of their time in the water cooling down so they do not overheat. Now, how is that different from the cold climate penguin? So I'm going to say the cold climate penguin, however, one of our transition words, spends most of its time in the water playing and looking for food. The cold climate penguin cannot overheat because they have to huddle together in order to be warm. All right, so I'm going to circle all of the things that I have used so far. I have used this, I have used this, have used this, and I've used these. I have used this and this. All right. So I believe that that is enough of the comparing and contrasting because remember, just like authors, we only want to compare and contrast the most important things. We don't want to add a bunch of unnecessary information to our paragraphs. But now, since I have my introduction paragraph, my introduction sentence, I gave a bunch of information from the text. I need to now write a closing sentence. And a closing sentence is where we wrap up all of our thoughts about what we just compared and contrasted. So I'm going to say cold and warm climate penguins are alike and different in many ways, but both birds are very unique to their own area. All right, and now I'm just going to go back and I'm going to reread it to make sure my paragraph makes sense, and I'm going to check to make sure that I have written in complete sentences. Remember, a complete sentence has a capital letter at the beginning and a period at the end. So I'm going to go back and read it. Cold and warm climate penguins are alike and different in many ways. Both penguins have flippers that make them great swimmers. These flippers are not wings because the penguin cannot fly. It is a flightless bird. The warm climate penguin can be found in New Zealand and Australia. They spend most of their time in water cooling down so they do not overheat. The cold climate penguin, however, spends most of its time in the water playing and looking for food. The cold climate penguin cannot overheat because they have to huddle together in order to be warm. Cold and warm climate penguins are alike and different in many ways, but both birds are very unique to their own area. All right. That looks like a fantastic paragraph to me. Now, showing you what you're going to do in your assignment. When you get into Canvas and you follow the steps to get to today's assignment, you are going to open this. So today you're going to be reading about a friendly ocean animal and a fierce ocean animal, and then you are going to be writing a paragraph just like I did about the penguins, but you're going to be writing it comparing and contrasting a dolphin to a shark. I strongly encourage you to use a Venn diagram. If you do use a Venn diagram, I am prepared to offer you 5 points extra credit. So take a picture of this and send it to me or send it to your teacher on Dojo or through email, and you'll get 5 points extra credit. All right. After that, the only thing that you have left to do is to type today's code word, and then you hit that blue submit button so that your teacher can give you some feedback. All right, boys and girls, I'll hear from you guys next week. Bye.